So you have a lot of outside forces holding you back, and you have to make a decision. Number one, I always end my day with preparing my next day. So I know when I get up in the morning, A, what I'm wearing, B, what my whole to-do list is, and that is all before 7 a.m.
Singer Joy Vila was the talk of this year's Grammys.
Her I Make the Static album.
Pro-life singer. #1 on iTunes and Amazon. Political run maybe in her future.
Conservative woman who is sharing my beliefs, unifying for the country and unifying under our president. Swamp needs to be drained when Hollywood is just rehashing the same old thing and they're patting themselves on the back about it. I'd like to use the publicity for something positive. There's always going to be backlash whenever you make a bold statement, whenever you be yourself. And for me, as an artist, I want to use my platform to really reach people on the level that I feel is real.
Pop culture, politics, and entertainment. This is The Joy Villa Show with your host, Joy Villa.
The Joy Villa Show. My special guest today is Mike Closer. Now, he runs the #1 show, morning show on Periscope TV. And he's got literally millions of viewers. He's gotten tons of accolades for the content he puts out. He's regular. He's been doing it for a while. And I want to let him share his story, what inspired him, how he got started as an independent broadcaster and as a salesman with his business. Mike, welcome to the show.
Joy, thanks for having me. Always good to see you. It's a turn of events. You've been on my show before, so lucky me, I get to be on yours. So thank you very much.
Exactly. We're sort of reversing it. I'm interviewing you now.
Yeah, this is so exciting. The tables have turned.
The tables have turned. I'm the interviewer now.
Yeah. You're in charge. You're in charge. Well,
that's right.
I appreciate you coming on my show. You've helped also boost my show. I started off years back prior to any of this, TV, radio stuff. Years and years ago in my blood, I wanted to work in a radio station, and I interned at the very first comedy station in the United States called KMBY in Los Angeles. And all I did was connect reel to reel, edit audio, and I used to do the PSAs on the radio and traffic reports, and I got paid $0. But I really enjoyed the experience of getting to meet a lot of the up-and-coming comedians back in the day, and this is back in the early 80s. So for me, it was a nice thing to meet the people and get to understand the culture. Yeah. And it didn't seem so glamorous while you're there, because back in that day, Joy, everyone's smoking cigarettes in the booth, and
oh, wow.
Different.
Wow. So this was radio. So Mike, you got started in radio. So a lot of my listeners want to start their own businesses, their own companies, their own, entrepreneurial endeavors. And that's part of my Joy Tribe philosophy, is that you can start your own thing and be bold and go after what you really want. So what made you want to go after being a broadcaster?
So great question. So as I was doing the broadcasting, I was thinking, how am I going to kick this off and get into broadcasting? Because my background doesn't lend itself to that. My parents would have told you, my dad had passed away, but before that, he would have said, he's going to be an attorney. He has the gift of gab. He could pretty much own the room when he goes in there verbally. And somehow people would walk out buying something from the guy, and so to speak.
I like that.
I decided to take the sales route at first. And when I took the sales route, my very first job was selling calculators. Wow. And even though that sounds mundane, the original calculator was thousands of dollars, Joy, thousands. And it was this big. God. And I used to have to go door to door. But what motivated me was the very first day of work, the very first day. I walked in the door and the boss said, take these calculators, put them in the back of your Mustang, and don't come back until you sell them. And that was the first day of work.
Wow.
So I had to make a decision at that point, and I lived in California at the time, Joy. And
where did you live in California?
Yeah, northern.
Northern. Okay, great.
Yeah, we lived on the East Bay, and I had to drive to the whole other side of where Burlingame is. And so I'd go to work. I put them in my car. I parked my car a few miles away, and I contemplated my life in that very first hour of what I would do. And by the end of that evening, Joy, I ended up making a few sales, not knowing the prices, not knowing how the contracts worked, and coming back with a check. And when I got back, the doors were locked because it was after work hours. So the next morning, this is the best part of the story, when I came in, the boss said, well, you figured it out. So now I'm going to take you in the other room and teach you how these calculators work. And I said, you don't have to teach me anything ever again. I just need the price book, the paperwork, how to sell it. And within 3 years, I was his boss. And then 5 years later, I had some stock in the company. And within 8 years, we ended up cashing out the stock and starting our own business, my wife and I.
That's incredible. That is incredible, Mike. So, Mike, we're good friends. We've been friends for years, and you've always had my back and been so encouraging, and we share politics. We're both Trump supporters. We're both, in the media spotlight. How do you deal with sort of the negativity or the pushback, maybe in your own mind and also from outside? Being an entrepreneur, like when you started your own company with your wife, you must have had a lot of things come against you. How did you deal with that?
I always did. So you have a lot of outside forces always trying to keep you down. It could be political. It could be competitive. Other companies that sell what you sell. Obviously, they could sell things for less than you sell them, but yet offer the same services. So then how do you tell someone yours is more valuable? So you have a lot of outside forces holding you back, and you have to make a decision. Number one, I always end my day with preparing my next day. So I know when I get up in the morning, A, what I'm wearing, B, what my whole to-do list is, and that is all before 7 a.m. It's completed and done. So
that's inspirational. That is inspirational.
That's part of it. That's part. And then the other part of the competition is there's a unique way to handle competition that could set someone apart for a lifetime if you understand it properly. And here's how it works. Let's say that you and I are I'm in here to try to sell you today. And you say, Mike, I already had an offer of the same product for 20% less than your product. And I said, really, Joy? So you're saying it's the same thing and it's for less money and the service is all the same? And you tell me that's the case? And you tell me yes, right?
Yeah, yes.
And I say, Joy, that's incredible. Let me ask you this, Joy. We'll just make you an attorney today. Joy, as an attorney, what do you charge per hour? What's your hourly rate?
$500,000.
$500 an hour. Now, you've been an attorney for 30 years, Joy. When you first started off as an attorney, your hourly rate wasn't $500 an hour, was it?
No, actually.
No, you just started out. It was probably what, 50 or 100 bucks, right?
That's right.
Right. So you started somewhere. But today it's 500. So let's say I ran off the street today and I said, I need an attorney. And I said, Joy, today only, would you do it for me for 50 bucks? What would you probably tell me right now?
No.
You would say no. Why would you say no?
Well, because I'm worth much more.
But you just spent 20 minutes telling me why I'm not worth it. That doesn't make me feel so great. I thought we're having camaraderie here. Wouldn't you rather do business with someone who's, hungry versus someone who's already been fed? So I'm worth the extra 20% like you just told me you were.
Ooh, I like it.
These are some of the ways you can turn things around where you build value in the process.
Right. Yeah, because it's value. My dad was a closer big time. I love that little tidbit, that story there. It's all about communication, getting in communication with somebody, getting their trust, really. You have to gain their trust and then building their value with what you do and what you say. I think people are willing to spend more when they see that it's a valuable item. Do you agree?
Absolutely, all the time. In fact, the hardest thing in sales is something called cold calling. Now, you do your version of it when you're out doing your music. When you're first starting off, you want people to know you.
Yes, and I'll tell you, Mike, I started in sales as well, and I've done lots of cold calling.
So
I know about it. Yes.
It's difficult.
And cold calling, for our listeners who don't know, is literally just calling somebody out of the blue. They don't know who you are. A warm lead or a warm call would be someone who kind of knows who you are, or maybe knows someone or there's some sort of connection. A hot lead is they know you, they want you to call. Cold calls, they don't know you from Adam. You're just calling them. And back in the day, people used to call people more because people, I think, would pick up more. I don't know about now. If you could.
Well, call-wise, not as much. But for me, mine was door-to-door with these calculators. So to make it more difficult, Joy, most signs on doors say no soliciting.
That's right.
So I'm sure you've seen that, right?
Oh, yeah. And I've done door-to-door sales, too. I was 14 years old doing door-to-door sales. Yeah. I love it.
And you know how difficult it is, right?
It is. It is the most. People are afraid of public speaking. Try public selling.
That is difficult. So, you have to be bold and brash. So you asked me how I handle things. So when I would go door-to-door, and I walked into an office building, and this one old attorney pulled me aside one day wearing suspenders, looked like Santa Claus, and he grabbed my suit. And I only owned one suit at the time, Joy, and I love my clothes.
I know you love your clothes.
And he grabbed my suit, and he said, son, what are you doing in here? There's no soliciting. And I said, I'm actually trying to book an appointment. And he said, you come on. you're trying to cold call in here. And I said, well, listen, what do you do? And he said, I'm an attorney. Look at this door. And he pointed at the door, and his name was on the door. And he was proud of himself, very proud.
Wow.
So I said, how long have you been an attorney? And he said, 40 years, I'm close to retirement. And I said, congratulations. Now, let me ask you this. When you very first started, your first year as an attorney, you left law school. How did you find your first client? And you know what he said to me?
What?
He paused. Some seconds went by, and I filled in the blank for him. I said, you did something that you refer to as ambulance chasing. And I said, that's back in the day where you waited near hospitals just to get near an ambulance to pick up a new client. Am I right or am I wrong? And he said, all right, you got me. Come on in the office. So my point is, of being bold and brash, you have to own the competition, understand who you're talking to, and relate well. And you only have 15 seconds to build believability, likability, and trust. And it's called the BLT sandwich of life. If you do that, you're golden.
Wow, Mike, you're teaching me so much. I mean, as an independent artist, I've had to do that. I think my sales background, like you said, helps me, cut through. I will talk to anybody, anytime, any place. And I've made my career off of that, is that I'm willing to be in places where other people wouldn't be. I'm willing to do things other people wouldn't do, all at my own integrity, in my own integrity, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But when you are that bold, when you take those chances and you show up, right? They say 99% of it's just showing up. I felt that to be very true. When I just show up at a place, then the people are there. Then it's, I've been to parties where there's celebrities, there's prominent people, and no one's talking to each other. No one goes up to them. I go, well, they're just people like me. And I've gone up to people and just said, hi, how are you? I love your work. Not cheesy, but just maybe I am an artist. And I've met people that way. I met Kanye West that way in 2014 and Kim Kardashian, just talking to them. And that's really, you have to remember the human aspect of everything you do, I think, in sales. So let's transition a bit. So you're a crackerjack, crack shot salesman. Then you say, you get into radio, and then you say, I want to start my own show. How does that start?
So an offer came around for me to retire. And so I ended up selling it to my partner, and my wife and I retired. And I spent 6 months doing nothing. Now, I had already traveled a lot in my life, and I've done motivational speaking. I've been to a lot of countries, and I didn't need to travel. And so after taking a few months off, I found this app on the phone called Periscope. And I watched people talking to the camera and trying to get people to come in the room and talk to them as if I thought first they were lonely. And then I realized some of them were trying to have content. I wasn't sure. I didn't know really what was going on. So I said,
some of them are still lonely. Some people
maybe they're lonely. So I gave it a try. And I sat at my kitchen table and I gave it a try. And I happened to be pretty well versed in politics. Since I was a young kid, my dad put me in front of multiple newspapers or the news. So myself, I could decipher either stocks, news, or sports statistics. And because we didn't have TVs around the house. So I just stuck with that. So I thought, okay, I'll do politics. And this is right prior to President Trump throwing his hat in the ring. So I jumped in, I started a Periscope, I started answering questions from 5 people, 10 people, 30 people. It came hundreds of people. And all of a sudden, by like day 3, 4, 5, we're up to a couple thousand people. And I said, maybe there's something here. I wasn't sure. I didn't even know.
It's a rush. It must be a rush. All those people are there and they're active and they want to hear from you, want to talk, and wow.
They want to find you. They want to email you. They want more information, more intel. People are monetizing, which I didn't realize that was a thing. I was just doing it for fun. I was just hanging out, chit-chatting. So
now your listener, your viewership though, now for the best closer is how many people?
So upwards, we get 3 to 4 million in a week.
Wow.
Viewership. And it's a very overwhelming experience to have this many people. Now, lucky for me, I have a worldwide audience because of my times. I'm on around 1 a.m. till about 7 a.m. East Coast time. And I have a ton of MAGA people and political people around the world. I've had Sebastian Gorka watch my show, Don Jr. I have a lot of Australians, a ton of people in England and Sweden. And I have experts in many fields that come on as guests. And lucky for me, I've had folks like you multiple times as my guests. Right. So it makes it special for me to have artists and who happens to be well-versed in politics. So that's great for me too.
And your followers are incredible. I do Periscopes a lot. Many of my Joy Tribe know. I've been doing Periscopes probably since my bikini bodybuilding days. So I would do Periscope while I was working out, doing my cardio, talk about protein, and I would get a couple hundred people. Now I also get about 20, 30, 40,000 people, sometimes 150,000 people, which is incredible. I mean, to have that many people watching you and listening to you. Now, you have this show and you started building content and now it's exploding. This must be something that you want to continue on, right?
I do. And here's why it's made it special for me. We've done some special things for veterans and we've righted a lot of wrongs out there. So we started, like you have Joy Tribe, we have Closer Nation.
That's right. I love it.
Our group, hashtag Closer Nation. We get thousands of people using the hashtag per hour. And the goal is A, to honor angel families and veterans. So we give them a platform to come on the show weekly. We A, try to raise money. B, we've donated land in Tucson for veterans. We've gotten them food, shelter, doctors, and all the above. And here's how easy it works, Joy. All I have to do is say I have a call to action, someone's in need, and all of a sudden I'll get 30, 40 volunteers that email me saying, I can do this, I can do that, I will do this, and I will do that. And for me, it's the most fulfilling thing to give the next part of the story weeks later to say what happened. So it's very special. So it's gone in a great direction I didn't expect.
Mike, this is so beautiful. The give back, that you use your platform to give back, to help, to heal. Now, did you say you broadcast from 1 a.m. to 7 a.m.? That's 6 hours?
It is, and here's why.
Every day? Every weekday?
Yes. Monday through Friday. And then I do a Friday night show now called Closing Time, which is a week's recap of the news in 1 hour, where people were just a little more casual, no fancy music and all that stuff and the graphics. It's just me and the folks. But I put in so much time. Number one, I was kind of bored. I'm not going to tell you I wasn't bored doing nothing. And two, there's so much content, Joy, that it's overwhelming that I give a well-rounded view of the day unlike anyone's ever seen before. If you want to know news, I'm a great resource for all things within the news, politics related, financial related. I don't do sports. I could, but it's not really what I want to offer.
This is amazing. This is incredible. Now, most shows have a team of writers, interns, writers. They get the feeds from CNN and the other places and Fox News. You can purchase that if you're a TV show. You're a Periscope TV show, but you're run like a regular cable news, nationally syndicated TV show. You've got graphics. I mean, I've seen your show, been on your show. It's so professional. You keep the pace so well. And your fans are they're so great. They've crossed over to be my fans. And I love when they come on. They're like Closer Nation, Closers Angels. They're such good people. They come to bat for me. They defend me against controversy and lies out there. And they're good, genuine people. And I've been so fortunate to have that from your show. Now, I want to say something though.
Sure.
There's so much to talk about. How do you possibly write and produce a 6-hour show every weekday? Do you have a team? Is it just you?
Great question.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Great question. So you would think maybe I do, but here's how I do it. So after the show, I try to eat a proper breakfast after the show.
After the show.
Then I eat the breakfast after the show. Then after that, I start compiling the news in certain forms. Either I use all electronics. So in my iPad, iPhone, whenever I glance and see something, I grab the clip wherever I'm at, and I take a snapshot of the clip. And when I get back home later on, I compile all the clips from YouTube or wherever I need to find them. And I line them up. Before I take my 3-hour sleep at night, I grab all those clips, I download them, put them in chronological order for the show, and I have all those clips. Then I'll grab clips of debates, maybe a comedy moment if it's comedic, like a Mark Dice for a commercial break, if it's a coffee break, so to speak. I have music for the end of the show. I've used your music for special patriotic moments, with your permission, and things like that. So I take the time and I actually self-produce. I use the software that makes it look professional. And then I don't really write anything except for the notes when I have talking points. I might write 2 words, but then I take those 2 words and, mix it around and make it into commentary for the show. And I prefer no script.
Wow. Unscripted. You are incredible. You're a powerhouse. I mean, really, you really are, Mike. It's not normal that most normal people can do this. There's an excuse, right? Well, I don't have a TV studio.
Right.
I don't have a team. I don't have the equipment. I don't have a family that can help me. I don't have this. I don't have that. How did you overcome some of those obstacles early on in your broadcasting career?
So, I'm lucky to have a son who's very well versed on the editing of videos, some for Hollywood, some for some famous YouTubers. And he gave some of his special time to help me produce the first couple of sets of graphics that make the show a little opening and closing special.
Yeah.
And then taught me the nuances of adding, subtracting, the proper audio, proper lighting, green screen,
Yes.
all the things maybe that you've learned over your time with the right lighting for all of your camera shoots, and all the things that you learn over time, he gave me in a nutshell. And so that was a big piece of learning. So actually the tables have turned. I learned from him.
Wow.
Yeah.
Look at that. Like
Yeah.
father, like son. Now
Yes.
that
Yeah.
is really cool.
Yes.
Good thing that he didn't say, no, Dad, you grounded me when I was 11, so I'm not going to teach you.
Right. Well, and by the way, you've met him, so you know he's in his
great.
mid-20s, and he's
Yeah.
a great kid. So whenever I get his time, though, to learn something new, I try to grab it.
It's a family affair. I love it. Love meeting your son. Love your family. Love what you
Thank
guys
you.
are doing. So, and what about equipment? Did you invest a lot early on? Did you build a home studio, or did you take it one step at a time?
One step at a time. So the best thing, could you be successful with just a mobile phone or iPad? Sure you could. You could start off like I did, get a bunch of thousands of viewers on just that.
Mhm.
But to increase your audio, to give people a better experience overall, and for your own self-gratification, you start investing. So you buy a few computer screens, you get a more powerful computer, you get a better microphone, and all of a sudden you could invest somewhere around, 8 to 15,000 and still accomplish everything I just discussed with you and the way you said my show looks, and probably spend no more other than having gigabit speed with your internet provider. And if you have all that, everything comes together, it should be okay.
Wow, that's great. So maybe around $10,000, $15,000.
Yeah.
If people want to invest in it. A mic is important. You can find a lot of stuff, and you can always upgrade, right? Like that's what I like to do. You buy something, then you upgrade. I mean, I'm very no frills with what I do, but it's important to have the good lighting, good mic, and good editing as much as you can, because you do want to have quality. Now, I believe it's content over quality when it starts out. Do you believe the same thing? Just get your stuff out there. Like you said, use a phone. Don't wait to have the professional Canon camera. Yes. Just get out there and start broadcasting, whether that's vlogging or, live tweeting your favorite episodes. It doesn't have to be about politics. It can be about art. It can be about sports. It can be about health, but start somewhere. Do you believe that's true?
I do believe. In fact, some of that I picked up from you when you first started early broadcasting. You were out showing the way your diet is. And you were out showing and taking a day on the street in New York. You had a camera shoot. Then you went to go eat something. And you were explaining what you were eating, how it tasted. And they wanted a day in the life of behind the scenes of Joy, not when Joy was making the music. And so you gave a piece of that. So I try to give them a piece of, even when I make mistakes, Joy, I let the mistakes be funny. And I'll correct them, and I'll still show them. I go, that was my fault. Like, I leave the microphone button off and I'm still talking. And that's happened before. So we make fun of it, and that makes it a natural show. And I'd rather them know that. And that's why you get authenticity. And I think they want that more than anything.
I agree. People want to know you. They want to know who they're talking to. And you don't have to be a celebrity to start. I want to tell my listeners, Joy Tribe, when Mike started, I mean, he was a super salesman, a successful businessman, but he wasn't a known name. Now he's a known name. Now he gets asked to appear on other national TV shows. He's doing more shows for other people. He's doing a lot of things, as well as keeping up his hardcore regimen of his own show. But you start somewhere. Like when I started, I was doing my fitness, I was doing my music, I was underground. Now I'm well known on a national, international level. People know me from all over the world. I get recognized, but it didn't start that way. But I acted like I was still known. So when you're blogging, when you're doing it, that's what I get from a lot of people. Well, nobody would care about me. I don't want to start a podcast. No one would care about my day. You don't know that. People want to know real people. Let them know you, let them in, be honest, be real, and have fun with it. I feel like that's the biggest thing. That's why I started this podcast, because my fans kept asking, and I said, well, this would be fun. I can have all my friends.
Right.
I can talk about whatever I want. There's no, censorship, no rules,
No rules. You said something real key a second ago. It's act as if. Now, when I was younger in sales, and still to this day, if you act as if you belong and act as if you've already been there before, you have a higher probability of continuing in that process. So you do that, because I've been in rooms with you where you walk in, everyone, you're greeting people you don't know. I do the same things. And many people are introverted, some are extroverted. And so the people that are being negative, saying, I'll never get anywhere, it's just me and a few hundred people, if that's your attitude, that probably will be the case.
Exactly.
Right? But I never thought I would meet Joy. That's a fact. That is a fact. So 6 degrees of separation has led to much better things and bigger things for both of us, but it doesn't begin that way. So people need to take a step back, look at their attitude, and act as if, and make sure you project yourself where you're going to be. And I know you've done that in your career. We've overcome major obstacles. Both of us have that in common. And because of those things, it makes us what we are today. So that you're the epitome of, and that's what we have in common. I love that part.
I love that too. So true. Such wise words. So can you tell me a little bit about these obstacles you've overcome? Because I'm sure people think, oh, you've had a perfect life. It's been given to you. That's why you're successful. We know it's never that case, right? The more hardships, the more strength people like us overcome to smile. The reason we smile is because we're through the darkness. But tell me a little bit about your dark
That's a great
times.
way to put it, through the darkness. I didn't grow up with a ton of money, but my parents never made me think we didn't have anything. I just didn't have video games and all the things other kids had, but I sure played ball every day, and I still did stuff every day. So I didn't know any different. So I didn't really feel it until I got out into a bigger city. And when I did, I saw things that maybe I want to be part of. But in terms of overcoming obstacles, back in 2005, one of my trips to Thailand, I came home from the trip, and I do motivational speaking. I came home from a long trip, and all of a sudden I passed out in the bathroom. And I got taken to the hospital, and I had severe meningitis, and I got bitten by a bug. And it was so severe that when I woke up, my legs were paralyzed. They're not anymore.
Oh my gosh.
But they were. And so it was a 3+ month recovery with every known thing, from rewalking, massive headaches for a lifetime. They never go away, with and without medication, any of the above. Being in bed for that long a time is pretty upsetting. Having your son at a very young age see you that way is also very upsetting to your psychologically. And so to overcome those challenges, knowing that there's going to be a whole new set of things, ahead of you to have to overcome, I already realized that I came from nothing. I made something pretty great. I've traveled the world, and now this happens to me. What can I do with it? What's going to motivate me next?
Right.
And so the next set of motivation after that, Joy, was within a few years, the company tripled in size. We ended up selling it, and then I became a broadcaster. But I was not on the same pace in terms of selling. We had 119 plus employees. But before that, we were only at like 45 employees. So we grew immensely in a short span because I took chances maybe I should or shouldn't have taken. And I made some decisions that maybe set us on a different path that I would have gone prior to this incident. And so it propelled me to this moment today. So I gave you a quick version because there's a lot of sadness in there, but I gave you a quick version.
Well, that's beautiful. I mean, it must have been a lot of sadness. Now, how long did it take you to recover physically?
Fully, I'm 95% of what I'll ever be today in terms of I can't run as fast, I can't jump as high, I can't do any of the things like I used to do. At the same time, I'll always have headaches. But in terms of personality and attitude, those probably went up here. Yeah. Even though I thought I was already up there, they went very high because I knew I was going to achieve something even greater. So, but of course, everyone has down moments, Joy, during that process where you're very sad. You're just kind of, woe is me. We've all been there. And around. Some people use help for that. For me, it came to just a certain point where I said, that's enough. And I'm a very organized person, and I take notes and I have to-do lists. And I said, that's it. Starting this day, this will occur. And each day I would walk more, and each day I did this more. And it progressed from there. It was an attitude change.
Wow. So you decided I had enough. You said, I had enough. This is it. This is my limit. You hit rock bottom.
I did.
And you pulled yourself out of that.
I did.
Little by little, setting goals, writing lists, saying, I'm going to beat what I did. If you took 10 steps one day, you do 15 steps the next day, right?
Pretty much that, exactly. I even had people I hate massage. I had people give me every form of massage you've ever heard of. Reiki massage, this massage, that massage, hoping that my things would work faster. The legs would move a little quicker.
Yeah.
And I can fully run right now, no problem. And there's no issue with that, but I'm not as quick. And I won't be that quick ever again. But that's not really my goal. My goal was just to be regular, just get out there and be
just to be healthy.
Person I was.
And you're healthy, and there's no trace of sickness on my end that I could ever see from you.
No, just headaches, and they're severe, but they come and go.
Yeah. I mean, wow. So you've overcome amazing, incredible physical obstacles to do what you do. And you're a father, you're a business owner, you run, the best closer, you're a husband, you do all these things well, and you're succeeding, you're happy, and you have a smile on your face.
Thank
you.
This is
beautiful. If you could sum up your success in, I guess you say a philosophy, a few sentences, the closer philosophy for my listeners, the Mike Closer philosophy, what would that be?
I would say own every moment to its fullest. Own it. So meaning when you're in charge of your day, when you get up in the morning, a lot of people say, oh, I'm running late for work, and they have an excuse. Employees would tell me every excuse in the book why they're late. And I said, not one of them works for me. There's not one excuse in the book you're going to give me today other than severe illness, death in the family, a pregnancy, you know what I'm saying? The basics,
right.
That are available. But that's not going to work for me because you didn't plan your day ahead of time. I suffer, and that's not how it works. Own your moment, own your day all the way through, and everything will work out just fine. The moment you deviate from the plan in which you set, things will not. So yes, maybe that sounds a little like going over the top and being like, overdone, Joy. But I feel it worked for me to the point of, I said, even picking out my suit outfits the night before, the cufflinks and the whole to-do.
Yes.
I dressed up and I made sure that the night before I knew what my next day would become. And that's what really worked for me.
You dressed up, you showed up, you visualized it, and you got it. I love it, Mike.
Yes.
Please let my listeners know where they can find you.
I would love to. So they can find me. I'm still on Periscope at The Best Closer. Also on Twitter and Facebook, just the same. The Best Closer, and it's in the morning from, let's say, around 1:30 in the morning till 6:30 in the morning, and also Friday nights, Joy. I will be doing probably 5 to 6 p.m. called Closing Time, and that's pretty much it.
Wow, that's awesome. That's East Coast time. Make sure you tune in every weekday and on Friday nights. It's been such a pleasure, Mike. Thank you so much for joining me on the Joy Villa Show, and I look forward to seeing more of what you're doing coming up in the near future.
Thank you very much for having me, Joy. Take care.
Singer Joy Villa was the talk of this year's Grammys.
Her I Make the Static album.
Pro-life singer, #1 on iTunes and Amazon. Political run maybe in her future.
Conservative woman who is sharing my beliefs, unifying for the country and unifying under our president. Swamp needs to be drained when Hollywood is just rehashing the same old thing and they're patting themselves on the back about it. I'd like to use the publicity for something positive. There's always going to be backlash whenever you make a bold statement, whenever you be yourself. And for me as an artist, I want to use my platform to really reach people on the level that I feel is real.
Pop culture, politics, and entertainment. This is the Joy Villa Show with your host, Joy Villa.